How will Alabama play on the road in their first ranked opponent this season?
Well, Texas was ranked, not when they played, but after they played because of how poorly Alabama played on the
Doesn't
road.
count. Erroneous. Erroneous does not count.
No, and they are back out of the top 25 after their performance last week against Texas Tech. So no, this is going to require discipline, and Alabama is going to be going into a hostile environment for the second time this year. Texas was wild. Everyone that was at the game will tell you, hey, that was a chaotic and hectic environment. Might not be quite as insane at Arkansas, but had Arkansas won last week, it would have been as insane as Texas. No doubt about it. When they feel good about their Hogs, that's a place that can certainly bring it. Alabama's got to be a lot cleaner when it comes to the penalties. Alabama's got to be a lot cleaner when it comes to their efficiency, both offensively and defensively. Remember, last time out on the road, 15 penalties, 100 yards. That was in 3 quarters of football. In the first 2 quarters, they had 11 penalties for 58 yards. The receivers struggled with drop passes. Jahmyr Gibbs really had the longest gain through the air, and that was on that 21-yard completion there early in the game. If you take out the 81-yard touchdown run by Jace McClellan, Alabama had 23 carries for just 80 yards the rest of the football game. So they didn't really sustain a whole lot. Yeah, had a couple big hitters, but they didn't sustain a lot throughout the course of the game. Now, Bryce Young was phenomenal when he had to be down the stretch, but you would love to see a more consistent effort, a more predictable effort from the Crimson Tide when they go on the road this time, because if they don't play consistently well, the crowd will get into it and it will become increasingly difficult to play in that situation. They got to get Ja'Cory Brooks involved, and they got to get him involved at wide receiver sooner than later. It appears right now he's starting to establish himself as a reliable weapon on the outside. You also have to look at Jermaine Burton. He's likely going to be sliding outside to more of an exclusive outside wide receiver role. They were kind of moving him around, trying him in different places. I think they're going to abandon that. They're going to move him back outside. Then you get Ja'Cory Brooks out on the other side and then mix and match the slot receivers at that point. But if you can have 2 dudes that are reliable and dependable on the outside of your formations, you could be in good shape moving forward. The defense cannot tilt the formation in one direction or the other. So expect Ja'Cory Brooks, after his 117-yard performance last week against Vanderbilt, expect him to be a little bit more of a factor here in the weeks to come. He also had a couple touchdowns in that game. Defensively for Alabama, that's going to rule the day. Will Anderson finally broke through last week. He'd had kind of a quiet first month of the season, but he had 3 tackles for loss and 2.5 sacks against Vanderbilt. Obviously, a significant step up in competition this week with Arkansas, and KJ Jefferson at quarterback, who's a mobile and capable option, not just with his legs, but also with his arms. But if Alabama's pass rush can get home, they had 5 sacks last week. If they can get home consistently and make life difficult for him, it will be challenging for that offense to create some of that momentum that they're going to need. So I think it's going to be a better performance from Alabama on the road, but I also think the competition this week against Arkansas is actually stiffer than that of what they would face when they went to Texas and when they played against the Longhorns.